So this building was almost a ruin when we bought it. It had 3 brick walls that were standing. It had a very rusty roof that was paper thin. But the really interesting thing about it was these 26 concrete vinegar vats that were in the basement, 3 metres below ground, that were originally made to ferment the vinegar for the Skip and Girl Vinegar Factory. So the planning of the building is laid over the grid of the vats below, so the lines of the middle of the vats create the lines of the walls above. The challenge was immense. The building itself was in very poor condition. The basement was quite flooded, and the building's about 1890, and nothing was straight. And I guess the other challenge that we kind of set for ourselves was to construct the building without any waste. So we really wanted to be a sustainable building, not just in the building itself and how the building operates, but in the construction of the building. I mean, 46% of landfill is construction waste. So if we can get into that sort of first chain and disrupt that chain by recycling, reusing, repurposing, then we can really make a dent in terms of waste. So the challenge we set here was a very high one, in that we wanted no waste at all. So we wanted no skips, no rubbish bins. So everything that was on the site when we bought it is still on the site now. We also were very careful in material choice and purchase of material. So again, looking at the limiting waste, we ordered very specifically in terms of, we didn't over order. We worked out what quantities we would need, and we purchased those quantities. And we also designed to the dimensions of materials. So if a board was 1200 millimetres, we designed in those modules. Financially, the project's gone very well. The site we bought for 700,000. We spent 500,000 on the build, and now the building's valued at 3 million. So more than doubled our money on that project. The texture of the old building is really important in the project as a whole. That contrast between the new clean lines of the build to the old structures, the old brickwork, the old timber work, the rusty metal, that's what I really like. One of the challenges of having a 4-storey building is how you heat it. So we worked with hydronic heating systems to develop a building that worked well thermally. And these hydronic panels are fantastic. So they're great in terms of energy efficiency, and that radiant heat really helps and works its way through the building. When you buy an old building, there's always going to be a compromise with the thermal comfort that you can achieve. So we've got solid double brick walls, which are great for thermal mass, but not so great in terms of insulation. Some of the conditions of the existing building do compromise the energy efficiency of the building. You know, there's some holes in the walls, there's vents, and we wanted to keep those, but we've made up for that by the use of hydronic heating, the insulation we've used, the double glazing that we've put into the old steel windows. So there's a nice story behind this light fitting, which we had made by the artist Mark Pascal when my son Monty was born, and my older daughter Mia and I went to his studio and we picked out the various colours, and he made this beautiful lamp for us, which is a really nice reminder of our family every time we come into the kitchen. So this area out here used to be the horse stables. The key move here was really about taking the roof off the building, and we in a sense sacrificed half the building for light. All of the spaces have northern light now. This courtyard space and the various courtyards that link, so there's a terrace for each level, and that's really important when you're in a city living. So you need to be able to escape out into outdoor spaces. Downstairs in the basement, this was the real challenge and the beauty of the project, and this was what really makes it a unique building, is these vinegar vats. So primarily they've become our workstations. So we cut into the vats and created individual workstations for 5 or 6 architects, and we've also used them for planter boxes, a toilet, a laundry, a fish pond, and also our water collecting system, which is an open system, just like the vinegar vats were open fermented. This is an open rainwater collection system, and in order to control the mosquitoes, we've got some little fish in there, and we've also got some turtles, so we've got a little ecosystem going in those vats. It's important as well to be able to see the construction of the building, particularly when I've got kind of younger architects working for me, so they can see the cables. They're all running through this Legrand cable tray system, and everything's kind of exposed. It's all neat, but you can see what the services are doing, so that's quite important as well to have that honesty in the building. So above the practice, we've got 3 levels of our family home. What we found was that industrial buildings are not really designed to be houses. So floor levels, windows, these sorts of things were kind of in the wrong spot. So we pulled the floors away from the windows so that we weren't then interfering with them. And then the strategy was that everywhere that you passed under one of these beams, you were changing circulation. So you're changing from a living room to a bedroom, or from a lounge space into a circulation space. So this is a beautiful old Oregon truss, and the magic about this truss is this beam that is one single piece of timber, and it just goes on for the entire length of the building. So it's an 18-metre long piece of timber, which probably came on a boat across from the Americas in 1850 or something. There's a really fine grain, so this is a really kind of slow growing old piece of beautiful wood. Everywhere that you go, you get a sense of the history of the place. So it's important that wherever you are, even if you're in an internal space, that you can see the old beams coming through, you can see the brickwork coming through. And then we contrast that with the clean lines of the new building. So wherever we made a modern intrusion into the building, we wanted something that was very clean lines. So we've used the Stormtech Mark Newson design grate in a number of places. We wanted just that smooth, clean line, so we could contrast that against the rough patina of the timber that's in each space. When you're designing your own home, you suffer a little bit of a tyranny of choice, I think, in that everything has to be exactly right, and you agonise for hours over every little thing, including things such as the choice of light switches, which can be a fairly minor design choice in a lot of cases, but for us it became very pertinent, and we developed a strategy with Legrand in that where we had a different product from Legrand for each floor, and that reflected what was going on in the floor. So in our architectural office, which is far more commercial, we used XL Life with a metal cover. Upstairs where we had the kids' bedrooms, we wanted something a bit more playful, so we used the kind of colourful linear range. And then in our bedroom, up here in the masters, we wanted something a little bit more sophisticated. So again, we went for an XL Life system, but with a softer palette. And we really wanted those switches to stand out and be a design element. At the very top of the building, we've got this beautiful vault that was the existing roofline of the old factory, which was the vents for letting out all the vinegar. And we had to keep to that existing ridgeline. So we've very simply lined it and kept the old charred beams where there was obviously a fire at some point. But the clever thing that we've done is we've butterflied out from that, so we've managed to get an extra story in the building by still keeping to the same height, but using that as a reference point. I'm really wrapped in the result of the building. It took an immense toll physically on me. It was a 2-year construction process, but the actual construction was very slow and laborious. I mean, a typical day would be, I would start at 6:30 on site, meet the builder here, work as a labourer stroke architect on site till about 3 o'clock. The builder would go home. I would continue working till perhaps 6 o'clock, and then I would go to my office and I would do my architectural work till about 11 o'clock at night and repeat. And I did that for 2 years. So it was hard going, but the result's well worth it.